Terry, a lot of people would look at what you and I see, so we don't all see things the same way. You and I would see a lot of these things as an attack on the family. And yet, many people in our culture would say, well, it's not an attack on the family what you're seeing. What you're actually seeing is a shift in culture, a shift in an understanding of what is right and what is wrong, that maybe we're evolving. And it's the same line we see with gender issues and all these other issues. Well, we're just evolving as a society, we're evolving as a culture. And yet, you and I would see a lot of these things as an attack with nefarious goals and agendas against the family. A lot of people would say that's not the case. What are some recent examples? I know you're very involved in this, kind of what's happening right now. What are some recent examples that would demonstrate that there is an actual attempt being made to undermine, at the very least, or destroy the family in America?
Well, that's a great question, actually. I think the most obvious and most recent case is what we're seeing with this critical race theory stuff.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of our people will think like, oh, what is critical race theory? And when you tell them, well, the critical race theory is, they're teaching our kids that the content of their character is determined by the color of their skin.
Right.
And that, it divides all of us into, two classes, basically. Either you're an oppressor or you're a victim. And, the oppressors are the white, Christian, heteronormative, they come up with all these terms that are just ridiculous, quite frankly. And so they're teaching these little kids, from kindergarten all the way up, well, you're an oppressor because you're white. You're inherently racist. There's nothing you can do to change it. The only thing you can do is be a responsible person and raise your white, and is telling other people, little, African American kids, little Hispanic kids, like all these other people, that they're victims, that they are in a system that they cannot overcome, that they are destined for failure, that they cannot reach the challenges that are coming towards them because the system that they're in is just so dominated by oppressors. It's absolutely toxic. It is a self-fulfilling prophecy. It hurts everyone. It doesn't just hurt white kids. It actually, I think it hurts, the minority kids even worse, and the people that they perceive as victims. I think that's the most, obvious example. And, but they're teaching our kids that their parents are evil, that their parents are racist, that their grandparents, we have a lot of grandparents that served in World War II. They're telling them that they are racist and that they are oppressors. It's really, really bad. And it's causing a lot of damage to our kids. It's dividing them against their parents and their grandparents who have sacrificed and dedicated their entire lives to them. I think that's the most obvious, and families under attack most recently.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you. I believe critical race theory is probably one of the most dangerous things in our country right now, and frankly, I believe it's one of the most racist things I've ever heard when you try to understand it. I think it's being perpetuated.
It is.
By people who are racist by nature of it. It's segregating people into groups based on the color of their skin, and there's nothing more racist than that. Hey, one of the challenges that I believe families who would agree with what we're saying today face, as they look at the importance of family, is good quality families, people who are being the dads they're supposed to be, people who are being the moms they're supposed to be, because life is so hard in this generation. They're busy. They're so busy trying to just take care of their homes, put food on the table, pay for $5 a gallon of gas. They're busy. So how do they get engaged in this when we need to be offensive about this? I mean, I watched some of this stuff going on in schools. I was just watching New York. In New York City, they had the drag queen come in and teach kindergarten through fourth graders about being a drag queen. And I'm thinking, my first thought was that what parents would allow their kids to see this? And then my other thought was many parents are out working and don't even know their kids are seeing this, and they're just busy trying to be good parents. And so how do busy parents who are trying to do the right thing be part of this fight, get engaged? How could they be involved in this with all the business of life?
Another great conversation, but before we continue, I wanted to introduce you to one of our sponsors. Great to have them on board with us. This is the MuttVet family. MuttVet, they are the very first crypto token for veterans by veterans. MUTT, M-U-T-T, that is the Marines United Tufel token. If you're not familiar with Tufel, it's Tufelhunden. That is the Devil Dogs. It goes all the way back to World War I. Marines understand that if you're a Marine listening, you get it. And this is a token for veterans by veterans. If you've not yet looked at blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, you need to. If you listen to this show, we've had conversations about this in the past. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, nor would I encourage you to do something just because I tell you to. But if you haven't looked at it, certainly this is a conversation taking place globally, and you need to take a look. And this is a good place to focus. If you are interested, I would certainly encourage you to go and check out MuttVet. For those that own this and participate, the MuttVet family may occasionally reward its holders with airdrops, new holder referral bonuses, as well as donation incentives. There are so many places that you can get involved in cryptocurrency, and I would encourage you to take a look at MuttVet, www.muttvet.com.
Well, Chad, that's also an excellent question. So here's the thing. One, I think that most parents are just kind of, it's not, I mean, look, it is very difficult. And I can personally attest to that. You know, I'm flying all across the country, meeting with people, holding, you know, events and speaking and all of this. You know, I'm working on, you know, there's two things here that I would divide into. There's the things you do as a parent, you know, in your role as a parent, and then there's the things you do as a citizen to protect your family. And the things you do as a parent to protect your family is, you know, what I recommend just as a father of 5 is, you know, spend a lot of time with your kids. And not just time with all of your kids. You know, I think a lot of times we group them up together and we do family road trips together and count that as spending time with the family. You really need to spend one-on-one time with your kids. You need to talk with them about the things that are going on, you know, and it doesn't need to be anything too crazy. You know, I try and do one little trip to the store with one of my kids, and that gives them, you know, one-on-one time with me where they can open up. I'll talk to them about things that I'm struggling with, and, you know, kind of try and, you know, poke them until they get you know, feel comfortable sharing with me. And here's the thing, what I found is they open up to you about a lot of things if you just make that little special time with them. And it can be 10 minutes, it can be an hour, you know, it doesn't matter. They just need to feel loved, and you need to know what's going on and what they'll open up to you. They'll tell you what's going on in their schools and what they're learning about. It just, you know, I had this conversation with my 9-year-old daughter, Reagan, a few years ago. She was doing a whole space seminar in her classroom. And she said, "Dad, do you know who Mae Jemison is?" And I said, "No, I've never heard of her before." She said, "Who is that?" And she said, "Oh, she was the first African-American woman in space." I said, "Oh my goodness, that's incredible. I didn't know, I had no clue." And she told me the year and the shuttle she was on. It's like, this is incredible. I said, well, do you know who Neil Armstrong is? And she said, "I have no clue."
Wow.
And I said, "Sit down. We're gonna watch Apollo 11. We're gonna watch this. And we're gonna see, you know, you're gonna see about the first guy who actually set foot on the moon." And so it's like, you know, little examples like that, you know, they'll open up to you. They're going to tell you what they're learning in schools, but that's just like a little bit. So that's what you can do as a parent. But as a citizen, you've just got, this is what APP is doing with this big family initiative that we launched, this NRA style membership. We're documenting all of the local elections from the school board all the way to the presidency. And we're going to make sure that you know when your elections are, who the bad guys are that need to get thrown out of office, and make your lives that much tough to make ends meet. And it's tough enough to get that little alone time with your kids and spend the quality time with them. So we're going to make your life a lot easier by making sure that you don't need to go and look up when your elections are. We're going to text message you a week before the election. We're going to text message you the day of the election to make sure you get out and vote. You know, these school board races, they take them over, those teachers unions. And it's because there's only like 5% turnout in a lot of these places. It's embarrassing, but we can turn this around very quickly if we just get these parents involved.
Jeremy and I have said this before. Everyone focuses on the presidential race and who the president of the United States is going to be. But I think some of the most important elections are at the level of the school board,
Agreed.
because it shapes the future of who's the voting base is going to be for those future presidential elections.
The other thing is, you're exactly right. The local elections, your local officials can actually be a very effective bulwark administration. Like, if you have a strong conservative pro-American sheriff in your town and a pro-America school board, you're not going to have a lot of the problems that the federal government is trying to push on you. That's a very good point.